It is now.
Okay. So I'm calling it to order at 6:01 PM. Don't know what the agenda is, but today's the 30th. Okay. So first up is, I believe it's, okay. Review, discuss, and vote on Richard Kowal's letter of interest to join the Finance Committee. Discussion will include engaging with Mr. Kowal as he is an invited attendee. So welcome, thank you for coming. Did everybody have a chance to review his resume, his credentials? Any questions? Do you have an extensive financial background?
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think you would bring to the Finance Committee?
I hope it's like, it's, I was a banker for over 30 years, dealt with various, I worked on the commercial side, so I basically did commercial loans, I did, not just, I did real estate, I did, operating businesses, I did work with municipalities, though I am still learning a huge amount, when I was on, or now that I'm part of, the building grounds committee, it's like all these different things are coming up, and I'm learning that there's a way that the town and state does it that I have to comply with, but it's,
Like banking regulations, but for the town.
yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
And, so I've got an extensive background with that. I was an instructor for what's called CFT. Basically, it's college courses for people in the banking industry. I taught money in banking, lawn banking, small ones, various different types of subjects, but my background is finance,
Strongly, clearly. And do you have any questions? Would you like to be called Rick or Richard?
Rick.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have any questions for Rick? No. Do you want to call a vote? Oh, you have an input. Want to call a vote on Rick? Do I have a second?
Second.
And so all in favor of, Rick's appointment or Richard Kowal's appointment to the Finance Committee for a term of.
I have a 2-year term.
So it's a 3-year term, for a 3-year term.
Yeah, 3 years, exactly.
And it would be retro, well, the term would be retro to 6/30 or 7/1/25.
Yeah.
These are all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, all opposed?
Okay, see you next one.
It's just, from my personal experience, you have to resign from the.
I
buildings and
know.
grounds.
And the capital expense committee, so I gotta give them the good news.
Yeah, we need to find some people for that committee, because you're just.
I'm trying to think who the, vice chair is on buildings and ground, but I can't.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. So, thank you again.
So the next is committee organization. Who wants to be chair? How many takers?
And the new guys off the hook, because they haven't appointed them yet.
That's exactly what I was gonna recommend.
Yeah.
Newest one.
Usually the person doesn't show up, so.
Right.
So does this go to the selectmen?
So
We vote
we
on
need,
it, then I find out?
we need the chair, vice chair, clerk. If anybody would like to step up as chair, I am not opposed. If nobody does, I'm fine.
I really don't, I don't think I have the time to commit to this, I don't really go into it.
Okay, it's fine. Nobody's fighting me, so apparently we're gonna have to vote. Does everybody wanna have Lori Shea remain chair of the finance?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like stable.
There you go. So all in favor?
Bye.
Aye. You're welcome. Now I need a vice chair. Who would like to be a vice chair?
What do these roles entail?
So the vice chair really is, the only thing, like, no matter where I sit at the table, I'm gonna have my same opinions. as all of you should. So the only thing really different is posting of the meetings, collaborating with the town leadership, or the select board, or other, chairs or vice chairs. It's not, the vice chair is really not a huge responsibility. Would you
Yeah,
disagree
you just
with
fill
that?
in for the chair.
You just fill in for the chair, like if I'm like unable to come for 2 weeks because I'm whatever, out of the country, and there had to be a meeting, the vice chair would run it. Baker, anybody?
Oh, no,
You interested?
sure,
Okay,
let's get it done.
I will nominate Mike McMorrow as vice chair. All those in favor? Aye. 4-0. We need a clerk. A clerk is somebody that takes the minutes. Normally that falls to the newest person on the board, which would be Rick. Rick, would you oppose to
It's
being
up to you.
clerk for a year? Because it helps you to kind of like just, I don't know, run it, it just helps to understand and.
I understand,
Yeah. So everybody in favor of Rick, as soon as Steve appoints him tomorrow being, clerk? Aye.
Aye.
That was easy breezy lemon peasy.
Go get sworn into.
So tomorrow I'll need two things. I'll need an email
I'll
with the
email
reorg
you first thing
and I need an
tomorrow.
email with the recommendation.
I'm moving my niece into Assumption College with their mothers. It might not be until the afternoon, but it's coming.
That's fine.
And so now, review and discuss the healthcare premiums and Hampshire County Group Insurance Trust, which I would love to have Brian Gibbons lead the discussion on that.
Well, from reading this, I'm assuming that we were talking about what the quote provided.
Which is,
Well, I believe, you sent out an email with an Excel spreadsheet?
or wasn't it yours?
Was that Jill's?
Might have been.
Maybe it's Jill.
Maybe it's Jill's. I do have some cards, I have some
Three
like.
scenarios?
That was me.
That was you?
Oh, no,
No, this
no,
one.
mine's color, yeah, no, that's not mine.
That's Jill.
I only sent it to you and Lisa, my version.
Okay.
Okay, yeah,
It's not opening up.
I was using
Yeah,
Jill's.
is there like a Wi-Fi password for all the
Yes.
documents?
Yeah,
It
Belchertown.
is, no, it's not the, no, it's a phone number.
Oh,
It's 413-323,
0451.
maybe, I think that's it.
Is that for Belchertown guest?
Nope, Belchertown, hardcore Belchertown.
No, the guest is just Belchertown. All over the
Go ahead,
413.
323. Steve, bring it on.
0415. No, I'm sorry, 51.
Oh, 45. So, has everybody had any time to go through all of the information that Brian sent, like the agendas, the minutes, or at least an overview? Like, I've gone through them at a high level overview. I agree, there's a lot of questions that, the trust needs to answer. I also agree, I'm not sure there's financial malfeasance or financial, misappropriation. I just think that there is lack of appropriate accounting general ledger procedures. When you're talking about $40-50 million, you need, even something simple, Sage software, but you shouldn't just be putting in, your vendor payments through QuickBooks. You should be receiving money, you should have, I have 30 different contracts, and so on my accounting, I have, and I'm sure you have, Munis is similar. So each one has its own contract, money is billed and received for them, expenses are billed and allocated for them, so you can clearly see at any given moment, which contract has what revenue and how it ties together, if it groups together, they need an accounting system like that, and it's not that hard. If you have somebody even qualified, there's a lot of part-time, people not part-time, but people that will go into businesses and that's their job, they'll spend 2-3 hours a week, $50 an hour, $75 an hour, they'll, get everything caught up and then move on to their next client. And
Can
I don't.
I jump in
know
for a
that.
second? Joanne spoke to Joe Shea, the executive director of the Hampshire County Group Insurance Trust, and evidently they took some different measures to address that comment in the last audit.
Okay,
He's going to be here on September 2nd at the select board meeting. The board's finance committee and school committee have been invited to hear that discussion, and I'm sure that's going to be a topic. But while they didn't hire somebody from the outside, they made some internal adjustments and addressed it. So I think it would be best to show up and hear what he has to say about that.
so so does everybody, want me to post a formal meeting for that? I'm going, it's on my calendar.
No.
If there's more than 3 of us gonna be there, I have to post
When
a
is it?
formal meeting. All right, so I will post a formal meeting for the 2nd to attend the select board meeting, and that way we can engage as well. If we're attending in a select board meeting though, protocol is that we must address the chair with our questions, and then the chair will then address, whoever we're asking the question of, because it's not a joint meeting, it's the select board meeting. So, but I don't know, like, there's a lot of information to digest. I struggle with them not knowing this 6 months to a year ago minimally, but this was coming based on what I've seen on past financials.
What I just passed out was something I put together today to discuss. It has to do with their cash position. And it comes with the meeting minutes to raise the rates a certain amount per that decision. And personally, in my opinion, I think the executive board, the executive committee did everything per their policy. We can question the policy, and as a town, we can probably ask or demand that.
But if they did it according to the current policy that's in place.
Yes.
Yeah, there's been some policy decisions. Hindsight's 20/20, first of all.
Every day.
But there was a policy decision made several years ago that they would only carry 3 months reserves. And that may explain some of the negative cash flow because they had to keep it down to that level.
Are they under that? I think
Yeah,
they were already under that
yeah.
a couple months ago.
Well, I think the policy decision was years ago. And that created a lot of problems, and there's been some other decisions that probably should have been different, like the, stopgap insurance and those
What
kind
is
of
our
things.
limit of participation with engaging with them on the types of policies that they have in place based on us being one of the 73 units?
So there is a management structure. 73 units all have a vote. And then the executive committee also has voting rights. But a lot of what they're voting on is information that's coming directly from the staff at the Hampshire County Group Insurance Trust. So it depends on what they're being told.
So if they vote a new policy in place, does that go out to all 73 units, so 73 units can see what that policy is? Or
I
do they
believe so,
vote,
yes.
do they
yes.
send out proposed policy changes so that the select board, because that would be policy, so the select board could review all of that?
Well, I don't think the select board would. It would be our designated representative, which is our HR director.
And it wouldn't go to the select board for them to review or have an opinion on it?
No,
It would be solely the HR director?
as one of 73 votes, yes.
Would she discuss it with you?
It depends on the topic. No, I don't think she was here when some of
No,
these
she-
policies were put in place, right? But generally, we talk about rate increases, if there's problems like HLP1 drugs, we've been talking about those kinds of things. So yes, we have conversations about that.
I'm just curious, like in the future, if they make a policy change or decision that someone with the expertise in that area knows,
Mhm.
let's say Nicole, like they make a policy decision, she's an expert in her field, which is benefits.
Mhm.
And she says, you know what, that's gonna come back to bite us in 2 years to 3 years tops, and it's gonna be significant. Like, how would she know in advance to raise concerns before that policy?
So I already invited myself to all future meetings.
So we
Did
have,
you?
Yeah.
Love it.
there's
did it
certainly a
yesterday.
better line of communications now, because we have that expertise that in the past we haven't.
Yeah, because in hindsight, like it's 2020 every time, but now after all these years, I think it's time, personally, from a financial standpoint, that we get in front of it so we can avoid having crises.
Yeah, and I think there's a few problems. One, when we read minutes and we listen to different things that are going on with the Hampshire County Group Insurance Trust, we already know what the result is. So we're looking at things from a lens of, knowledge that people wouldn't necessarily conclude without knowing the end result. I certainly would not have come in back in January and asked for an extra $1 million in our health insurance because I was reading between the lines. It's easy to read between the lines now and say, well, I guess there were some indicators there.
Right.
So we need to be careful with that.
Right, you want to be conservative, but you don't want to be so conservative that you're allocating funds that are unnecessary.
Right. So following a lot of the media coverage of this, it seems that those communities that have chimed in all seem to have been have some level of surprise. Some have a very small pool of employees and they can just cover it. There's really no fuss. And other people like Belchertown, South Hadley, East Hampton, we're going to have to make some hard decisions, and that's why we're here tonight. So I think there's a lot of awareness now that wasn't there before. And before, what I can tell you is we were living with the best of both worlds. We had extremely low rates because of, obviously now poor decision making, and we had a very rich plan. Nobody was questioning that. When you have it both ways, everybody's just saying, yay, look at what we're doing. Our budgets are coming in. We have great benefits. Let's make these policies. And if we didn't run into this problem, nobody would have questioned.
I've heard some staff make comments like, well, now I'm going to take home $3,500 a year less than I did last year. Maybe I'm going to have to leave. Well, if you go anywhere else,
You're probably going to be
your
the same.
premium is going to be $6,000, or your premium is going to be X, and then you're going to have a $6,000 deductible. So go have fun with that.
And that's the one thing that we've been trying to express upon people. There is a colored sheet that we have been emailing and distributing. Our broker has done some analysis, and we are still very competitive in the market. And that's my point. We were paying less than market rates.
Right.
We had great rates.
Even though
It's not out of line. So even changing now is not going to save the town or the employee.
Yeah, but for next year, we would have to, if we increase deductibles, be more reasonable and in line with what everybody else does.
Correct.
Does
And
you ever hear of anybody that has zero deductible?
Not anymore, no.
No, it's just, it can't be sustainable.
Or like not even a high deductible plan. I mean, I don't know anybody that doesn't have that.
Right. So I think that's where Nicole comes into this conversation, because if we want to keep the Hampshire County Group Insurance Trust solvent and competitive in market rates, they need to make plan changes, and that's her expertise.
Right,
So
100%.
what we're looking at is deductible plans, we're looking at incentives to get people off of PPOs, we're looking at variable rates for PPOs versus HMOs. I mean, we're looking at a lot of different things. Yeah,
Paying people to
incentives.
leave the plan.
Yeah.
Hey, you look good, and that's interesting, what do you mean?
Giving them money if they leave and go on their spouse's coverage.
Yeah, waiver.
But it would be a much tinier
Oh,
portion
that's-
than what we would have to.
Yeah,
So a lot of math needs to go into
Yeah.
what
Right.
makes sense
But
for
it does,
that.
I mean, I get it.
yeah, cost benefit analysis is underway.
Can I ask you a question? I'm sorry, Brian, go ahead. Okay, I just want to ask a question about that sheet. I looked at it a long time ago. Those were just to enter into other associations, right?
Right.
Gallagher never did a fully insured private plan, correct?
You mean like going directly to Blue Cross Blue
Yep,
Shield?
yep.
No, we would have to pursue that.
Okay,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
still the thing I've been talking about is why don't we look at doing that?
Mhm.
Not that I want to leave the trust, because I think that no matter what's going on in the trust, the rates are still great comparatively. But if you were to leave the trust and go privately fully insured, raise up the deductible, say to $3,000,
$4,000 is
$4,000,
pretty standard.
premiums go way down.
Mhm.
Then what you can do is you can say to members, okay, you're responsible for the first $500 or $1,000
We
in
do.
deductible
We
in
pay the
HRA.
next 2,000
In
and then you
HRA.
pay the last,
You
there's a
got it.
$4,000 deductible for single.
Right.
And so, and it doesn't matter, family certainly higher. So we pay the first 500, you will automatically get reimbursed the next 2,000, and then the remainder of your deductible on the plan, because certainly single is different than family or whatever. You're on the hook for yourself, and very few people really exceed like $3,000.
Right, and it's all automated, the reimbursement is automated, it's done by a TPA, and
Right.
that's what I really wanna see. You can't do it inside of the trust because it's all self-funded anyway, so
Right.
whether you do it towards an HRA or, it
But
doesn't
that
matter.
really helps us keep our costs down and keep our premiums down for our staff, and so they're paying like $11 a week for a single plan, like
And it
it's.
teaches members about deductibles and becoming comfortable with small deductibles.
And one year, not last year, but the year before, I went with, because I'll take the blame. I went with a $2,000 deductible. So we reduced HRA to 1,000, however, prescriptions had to be met, you had to meet your deductible for prescriptions. Our HRA costs went through the roof, because everybody was, whatever, so you do still have to be careful in the plan that,
You do
in the
you do a
that we
plan
picked that.
Yeah,
Because
you're
now
not gonna do a
we're,
quali-
like now we're $40 labs, whatever, like it's more co-pays and this and that.
qualified high deductible health plans do put deductible on prescriptions. I'm not looking at a qualified,
Right.
I'm looking at a classic $3,000 deductible plan. Your office visits are still $20.
Right,
Your
20
prescriptions are
40.
still a copay. Yep, prescriptions are still a copay, but if you have hospitalization, surgery, imaging, labs, that's where the deductible.
And you know where else we reimburse 3 specialist visits per year.
Okay.
Because, it's $60, let's say, per specialist visit, so up to 3 per year comes out of your HRA, so they really
You have
get.
a lot of flexibility on what you,
And that
what you wanna
flows
do.
through right from the insurance company, tells the FSA administrator, or whatever, and that comes through
Yeah.
in people's checks. But people are happier with their out-of-pocket costs. Most costs are prescriptions. You don't have a DL1 plan. Most costs are prescriptions, especially if they don't cover the weight loss drugs. And she's right, you can really get some nice premiums.
So it might be an option in the future, I guess we need to, see where we are. But the other concern that we've had is the runoffs. We're responsible for any unpaid bills for 18 months.
yeah. And that's why I'd want to talk to them about putting a terminal reserve in place
Mhm.
so that when members do opt to leave the plan, they're not on the hook for a full 18 months of run out.
Right.
Run out really only happens in the first 45 days because there is a law in the state that says that providers have to bill carriers within 45 days of the date of service, and then the carriers have like another 30 days to pay the provider. So you won't see claims coming in for 18 months.
Yeah, you might
but-
see like 3 months because they'll go back and forth if the
Right.
code is wrong or
But to
whatever.
put a terminal reserve in, that's just additional funds to cover those claims. I feel like that would give the members the option that if they want to leave, that it won't kill them to leave.
Right.
So,
But it costs money to do that.
It does, if it's a money if it's money up front, that's gonna help save money in the long run.
Yep.
Right, you probably have more of a plan like I have at work, I'm sure.
Yeah,
You
we have-
do.
yeah.
Right, like nobody has.
HRA and.
I do.
You do your, but
Well,
HRA.
no, I'm a charter, so we're totally different.
Alright.
We're the kinds of talk
Whatever.
Guard, baby.
Well, you earned every penny of
Yeah,
that
so that's-
little basketball, so anybody that's getting it through the military has earned every penny of that.
Yeah.
No problem. But yeah, I think the rest of us are more towards in line with what Nicole's talking about. It's just the only way to really go. Like, I know our philosophy where I work and I do oversee benefits is we want to have affordable, quality healthcare so our staff can access it easily, afford to pay it, afford to pay the premiums and stay healthy and show up to work, which is fine.
Yeah.
Show up to work. And so, getting that balance is important. But there's a lot of wages you could increase for that $1 million.
Well, and that's what I was just gonna say, the biggest hindrance we have is there's eight units and 8 unions
But if you're paying that, you know what, if you're paying that additional, because some people might use health more than others, you know, there's less, I equate it to like, we could do that, but you know, that I could give 10 people $1 more an hour if we did.
And they might be requesting more money now because their co-pays.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Understandable.
Yeah, so we have 5 unions in the schools, 3 on the town side, and that's, all of that has to be worked out.
So even if we go to a different, even if the trust switch its plans, they all have to negotiate?
Not if the trust changes offerings. If the
Okay.
town changes something, then we'll
Okay.
have to. But that's a very complicated answer. I'm giving you a very
I
simple
get it.
simple. We have council working on some of these answers now, because we're entering into negotiations with 3 of the unions, the DPW, police and fire. Schools are actively negotiating with their 5 unions. I don't know what they're looking at.
And when would those start? When would those negotiations, when would it be retroactive to, or when would it
Yeah.
start?
I believe the schools are already overdue. I think they were supposed to have a new contract in place for July 1. The town contracts expire June 30th of 26, so we have some time. But my point is, some solutions sound easy until you start digging into them, and then you realize
Right, and
layers
it's
of
not,
work you have to go through. So, we're watching things closely, and, right now our priority is to make sure the employees have insurance, make sure we can cover this, and then we're gonna continue to work through, solutions. So, it's a new topic for us, and it's one that we're gonna be working on for a long time, So,
it is, and it's an ongoing crisis across the country with healthcare costs in every single business and retirement and whatever, like healthcare is just.
Yeah. And all the plans are
Right.
losing all the commercial private plans are losing GLP-1 coverage on January 1st, my own plan included. But what's nice about the GLP-1s is programs like Weight Watchers have come out and said, we will make these affordable for you if you pay cash and you join Weight Watchers and you partake in our nutrition program. We will make the GLP-1s affordable for you. So they're getting these really deep discounts on GLP-1s. So there's options out there.
There really are, like they're becoming more and more med spa available, and the people that just wanna take them, like certainly there's some that are made that have actual health benefits, and that's why they started for the people that need them for health benefits, and those will still be covered.
Yep.
It's just the people that just wanna lose weight and just wanna whatever, like if they're $1,200-$1,400 a month going through insurance, and that.
And a lot of them are not partaking in a nutrition program.
Right, they're just taking it, and so it's eating it. I do know somebody that were out here that was taking them to go from a size 12 to a size 2 for their wedding, and while eating Cheetos and Fritos, and, stopped and went right back to a size 12, which is fine.
I'm not gonna leave that out of the minutes if that's okay.
It's fine, you can leave it out of the minute. But it was just, but there are a lot of people who take it and don't, I agree, that are not looking to get healthy.
And I don't think they're gonna not be covered forever. There's a lot going on with them. They're looking at a tablet form. I think there's a lot of pressure for some of them to go generic because the generics are already there. They're just not available for sale yet.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of pressure for that. So I think you're gonna see a change very quickly in the next few years.
Because they have a lot of value for people to be able to lose weight. I'm not saying they don't, because they do have value, especially if you work with it.
Yeah.
But they're so inhibited with the, like Health New England, we're not covering them.
Yeah, and there's no other all of the carriers have come out and said the same. Health New England, Blue Cross, Mass General, Brigham, they're all saying it.
What's up, Brian?
All right, so, earlier this week or late last week, I sent you out a package. You just sent it to the finance committee.
Oh, yeah, I did, I said, yes.
And it was a couple zip files, and the conversation we're having right now about lowering costs, I don't think that will change what just occurred. If there are errant financial decisions made at the trust. So I really looked at the financial statements, compared it to their meeting minutes and their agendas that they put out. And they have the total assets in there, they talk about the money coming in, the money going out. I focused on the period that ended the same period as the financial statement, the fiscal year end of June 30th. And I found an average of a $10 million delta between what they say they have and what's in the financial statement. And I just sent that out because I didn't understand it. I just don't understand, I still don't.
And there's no statement in July 24 or July 25.
Correct, but I'm sure the one in 24 will come before too long, because in the notes they do talk about reaching out to the auditor every month. There's an item that they don't include in their monthly meeting minutes where they're making these decisions, and that is the total liabilities. So just in 2023, the last financial statement, they have $11.2 million in liabilities above and beyond what they have in their total, and above and beyond what they do in their monthly. I don't know what those liabilities are. Since it's the same period ending the fiscal year for the audit, I don't think the audit would add future realized liabilities to a previous statement. That wouldn't make sense.
No.
You might do that in an interim statement, but not in an audit statement.
Who does the audit?
Nobody in
Just
2020.
call
Yeah,
Markham,
that's just-
Markham.
Their 24 audit isn't done yet.
They're
It's usually done in the summer.
Right.
23 is from Markham Accountants and Advisors.
So anyway, I looked at it and I had a question. That's why I put all that together and sent it out.
I was very interesting. I'm reading it again now. So yeah, I went over it and I thought it was very interesting. Thank you.
And why in those meetings do they, they're making financial decisions, but they're talking about their total assets. They're not talking about, they're not
Well, it's gotta
including.
be their net assets.
Yeah.
You offset
Yes.
for the liabilities. You can't just talk about total assets.
But we're also just reading meeting minutes. We
Right.
don't know what was discussed in that meeting.
Yeah.
So anyway, so today I brought my hand to these things out, and it's their cash position, which they speak to in their meeting minutes. And if you look at this, the difference on the bottom from fiscal year 2019 to 25, the difference on the bottom is, this isn't from anything this is from their monthly agendas,
Okay.
and their meeting, which they discuss about in their meeting minutes. So they have a beginning balance, an ending balance, and a difference. All the differences in red are a negative
Mhm.
cash flow for the year. Now, what they don't tell you is how much, and I guess I could do the math and figure it out, but I wasn't gonna go through that. How much they took out of their investments to bolster their system, so that these two positive numbers, 24 and 21, I'm assuming are well into the negative as well. So in 2024, they raised their rates, and I've got the meeting minutes here where they raised their rates 8%. And we know that through this year, they have taken their investments, and they're down to like $5 million right now in total. So they depleted like 14 million alone this spring. So that 38,814, you can conceivably add 14 million to that. So, I mean, back to what I first talked about with not considering, or what it appears like they're not. I don't know. I have no idea. But are they making decisions based on not all the facts, financial facts?
You mean the executive committee?
Yeah, and so they.
And are they being given all the accurate facts, the main order to controlled information
Yeah.
being,
Agreed. I mean, when I look at these minutes, it raises questions because they start with the financial report and they're showing a gain of $2 million from their starting balance to their ending balance. And then later on in the meeting, they talk about the rate increase, and he asked for 10%, and the committee pushed back and they lowered it to 8%. So the committee, you know, if the trust needed 10%, why did they start showing a positive cash flow and then take their lumps and get pushed back? I can understand why they're getting pushed back from this executive.
Trend for the new year coming in.
Right.
No, in the past,
I mean, why, you know, they're making decisions based on a lot of, to your point.
but I'm not sitting here trying to throw stones at anybody. I'm trying to figure out how, when we talk to them, how we can protect, you know, all the members, but Belchertown particularly, and the employees, because, and I think that this can be solved, through a number of different ways. But, you know, we gotta do it in a way to keep costs reasonable as.
Yeah, but they're
as Nicole was
averaging a
discussing.
loss over the last 70 years. The median is $1,196,933 in loss
Yeah.
per year.
And that would be my question, was that information part of the rate increase?
Right, so if somebody's talking to me
Conversation.
and you control the flow of information and don't explain to me that over the last 7 years, we've had a median average loss of, you know, 1,196,933, and you just tell me, no, we got a positive cash flow of 3 months for this year, like, I'm gonna make decisions based on the information you're giving me, because I trust you to be telling me the truth, like, in whole.
Yeah.
So I don't know, if there is blame to assign for that lack of communication or not. There may be, there may not be, I don't know.
Well, I'm gonna defend the trust right now.
Okay, you do that.
Just to be fair, in 2017, the same thing happened. They didn't deplete all the reserves. They lost about $10 million. But if you go back, it's like 30 million, 35. So they added 10%. Before you know it, they're up to in the 40s.
Mhm.
So because they got so high, they stopped raising the rates as much. They go 1 or 2% instead of 5%.
We had some zeros.
Yeah, and so they would start going, and then they would allow the reserves to deplete until the following year, and then they would kick it up a little bit more. And
So does the
it seemed
person
to
running,
work.
does the person overseeing this have the financial acumen and business background to be able to make these projections on tens and tens of millions of dollars serving 73 units? Because from the sounds of it, I don't think the person in charge does.
What I've heard is that Blue Cross Blue Shield does give their advice to the trust on what they believe. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
I heard that from
Yeah.
They talk about that in the meeting minutes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, yeah. And so that just adds another layer of expertise. And one of the things that, when I listened in on that meeting, one of the things, there's a woman named Cindy Graves who belongs to the trust, Cynthia Graves. And I heard her on a couple of occasions, even though she got some guff for it, say, we told you not to do this and you did it anyway. And she was talking about the 3 months of reserves and not negotiating down from the initial increase in January. So it was almost, the feeling I was getting was, IAC members, this is your fault. You went against what we told you to do.
There was some pushback, yes.
Yeah, like we need to all come to the table together and make sure
Yeah.
that whoever is overseeing tens of millions of dollars of 73 units worth of funding is got the right level of expertise to be able, or to be surrounded by people who have the right level of expertise to be able to make projections due to increases.
Do you know their hierarchy? There's clearly no FP&A.
I didn't see it. I
Is
didn't
one
see
person
it.
making these decisions?
Right, I did not see an org chart. I didn't look that hard, but I did not see an org
I'd
chart.
be shocked if there's anything FP&A.
What is Cynthia Graves? What is her?
So I think she's probably a consultant for the trust. And I think she reports to Joe Shea, who's director of the trust,
Yeah.
maybe?
Yeah, exactly,
But
right.
who is she?
If you have specific questions, I can funnel them to the trust before the September
Who
2nd
does
meeting.
he report to?
I don't know, I think the executive committee, but I'm not sure.
And so,
I guess that would be a good question. If you email me, generate
like how many
questions.
people are on the exec committee? What is their,
Do they
what
have authority?
expertise do they bring to the table? Like, you show me numbers and they don't add up, I'm gonna be like, bull until I find out why.
Yeah.
I'm sure you both are, everybody else here is gonna be the same thing. If it doesn't add up, if it doesn't smell right, we're gonna keep on diving until we
Yeah.
find it.
But there's
What
a
level of
chicken and the egg
expertise?
thing going on here. What information are they getting? I mean, Brian is questioning, I'm questioning.
Yeah,
They're making decisions based on the information they're getting, so.
but who's questioning the information they're getting? Who's saying, is this complete? Is this,
Sign
this
it
is,
off.
Yeah.
right, are you just like,
Agreed. So
It-
we need to figure it all out.
It's a very good point, because the audited statements are gonna come out for the way that they're supposed to be per cap. And it's gonna be different from what their internal numbers are. So I think the thing to find out is how accurate are those internal numbers?
right, and so the 24, another question I would have is where is the FY 24 audit? Mine was done by 11/15 for Mass and by 12/15 for Connecticut.
Yeah, it's not uncommon,
Of 2020,
it's not uncommon for government entities to have their audits done late in the following calendar year.
They have to
Maybe
allow
not
it.
this late,
They
though,
have-
in
Yeah,
June.
this is
They have to have
June
something like that
24.
too. That's a
Right.
red flag.
In my banking career, whenever an audit like that went for an extended period of time, that was a huge red flag. The question was, what's going on?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if in the municipal world it's that big of a red flag. Their audits are done late every year.
But are they in the municipal world or are they
Yeah, they're
just?
a government entity. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
can I just read something from the latest minutes that I think is gonna sober everyone up, if you're not already?
I am a little drunk.
I was
Okay.
ready to work on it. Unfortunately, I had to come here.
Afterwards. This is July, this is the last executive committee meeting, these are the minutes from it. Fiscal year 26 cash flow and rate discussions. Joe stated himself, Rich and Cindy attended the legislature meeting. He had scheduled with Senator Joe Comerford and her staff, Representative Boyce, and a staff member from Senator Velez's office. Joe stated they felt they waited too long to ask for help, and we need to get ahead of this if there is to be any solvency here. They inquired what our short-term and long-term asks were. Joe stated $5 million in the short term to get us through until the new premium arrives with the mid-year rate increase. So that's from now until October 1st. Long-term was 20 to 25 million with no mid-year rate increase to get us through to the July 26 rate increases. They requested financial information to review and recommend sending emails to all legislative bodies with the information, and request they all attend a larger meeting to discuss our situation. Joe stated this is in the works. Joe presented a cash flow prediction for fiscal year 26, stating the next 6 months to a year will be tough as we navigate the unknown with claims. We have used our reserves to absorb rate increases in the past, which in essence made our rates underpriced to the claims over the years. Operating in this fashion is now caught up to us as claims have suddenly spiked substantially. The executive committee then discussed the length, how to move forward and keep the trust doors open, stating a mid-year increase will be necessary along with continued and steady increases each year going forward to be sustainable in the future. They discussed the need to make other changes in our plans for 7/1/26, such as plan design changes, increased copays, or possibly adding deductibles, and look into changing from self-insured to fully insured. They also discussed the need to make a contingency plan for what a dissolution of the trust would look like if it came to that. All things that they plan to discuss further in the coming months.
So they're even considering dissolution.
That's what it says.
That was my next question.
I don't think they can on their own. I think
But if there's no money,
the units of the trust are, I believe, we have a say in that. I don't know.
Yeah,
I actually talked to my attorney about that.
But I do think that was predicated on not getting an increase,
Yeah.
which they got. So
I'm
I
pretty
don't-
sure the state would declare that one way or another. It's not like they can just say, oh, let's just do this. They have to submit something, and then the state would have to say, we're gonna put you in a,
A receivership.
exactly. So, it does sound.
The state said,
Well, I think,
thanks for asking.
I think if the door is closed, they would put the trust in a receivership and roll everybody into the GIC as well.
Probably.
They're, they wouldn't turn their back on 7 communities, 4,000 employees and 12,000 subscribers. But I do think that there's gonna be changes, without a doubt. There has to be, so we know that.
The reason I wanted to read that was, we're advising the town and on fiscal matters that are going on, and this is significant.
It is significant, it is.
Do we need to make our own contingency plans at this point?
I don't know.
What was that from? What meeting was that from?
July.
That was the July
this year.
16th.
Yeah,
It also says that Joe's reached out to the banks.
Yeah.
They used looking for a line of credit with no luck.
and they said no, yeah.
So, I mean, even the banks are right along.
July 23rd.
Yeah.
This is a sinking ship.
Yeah, they have.
So even though, Gallagher did that study, the rates were good 2 years ago, look where we are.
Well, that's the problem, because, the fear is if we have to leave, we're gonna be looking at another budget problem.
Right, but who would deplete reserves if just, but I am such the opposite, like I can't even build those financial foundations.
I don't think they realized it was happening.
I don't know if the person that was making those decisions really had the right financial expertise to understand
Right.
the whole process.
Well, that's a scary portion of us.
Hey, Dan.
Hi, quick question. Are you gonna be here at least till 7:30?
Probably not.
Okay, we've got a number of meetings going on. I'm just trying to allocate channels and stuff. So, I'll be off by 7.
7 is in 10 minutes. Does anybody have any cause to stay later than 7? Because I did not do minutes yet. I will do them, but I haven't.
Most of your business is over with.
Yes, it is. Thanks, Dan.
Well-
We have a decision we need to make tonight, or it's something we need to, I think it's well known, looking at all this, that the trust is in poor condition, so now what? I guess
So we're
is
gonna meet on the 8th. Really, I think it's just to kind of keep abreast of all the information that we're finding out, like if Brian has the time to get this stuff and send it out to us, thank you, Jesus, because then I can just read it instead of trying to research it, or whoever sends information to all of us, we can read it. We just can't really discuss it unless we're in a public meeting, or I sent it out to everybody, something Brian sent me, which is fine, as long as nobody responds. You can have it, you can read it, you can make up your own mind, and then when we're in a public meeting, whether it be here or in a tri-board setting, that's when we would discuss it. So that's gonna be September 8th, but there is gonna be the September 2nd meeting, which Joe Shea will be at.
Do we know what time that is?
Yeah, the meeting starts at 6:30. He'll be on by 6:33. I think the main purpose on the 8th is going to be to agree on how we're gonna cover the shortfall.
Right, but we're gonna listen, give him an opportunity to
second.
talk,
On the
and
second,
on the second, the 8th is how we're gonna move forward. The
Yes.
second is to give him an opportunity to make sense to us,
Mhm.
why he did what he's done in the past, and why it's happened that we're in the situation now.
Yeah, in my mind, I don't think there is a lot of making sense of what happened. I think I'm more curious on how he's correcting it going
Right,
forward.
what are we gonna do, what's the solution, or, it is what it is, we have all this
Yeah.
data now, we know in hindsight, but now we're solution driven, so what's gonna happen
Correct.
to correct that ship?
I think on that meeting, we should keep it positive, keep it on the future.
Yeah, be solution oriented.
Yeah, and they know.
Yeah,
Just-
like
just-
they know.
You said asked the question about how could this kind of happen. Sometimes I've been on a lot of nonprofit organization boards, and you have people who are asked to join these boards who know nothing about finance.
Right,
So they'll say, yeah, go ahead, do this, or like somebody mentioned that they wanted 10% increase, and they kicked back to 8 because they wanted 8, because it sounded better than
They
10.
wanted to balance their budget.
Exactly,
2% is a lot of money,
It
we're
is.
talking $77 million.
So you have
When you have to deal with this chair in the finance committee for
Right.
announcing a budget.
Yeah, and so sometimes you have members of the board that are not qualified to be there for financial decisions. It's just that they're popular, they have a good business that will contribute, all kinds of different reasons that aren't beneficial for what it's worth.
I totally agree with that. I was saying, I don't even know if I said it in the last meeting, but I never have clients go against what I tell them to do.
No.
Never happens, because they don't understand the big picture and the impacts of things. I can't even think of one client where I go, oh, you shouldn't have did that. So
Right.
you've got HR managers, town managers making these decisions about money when I think they're not really truly understanding the claims process and
Right.
things that are going on with trend and stuff like that.
Yep.
And they're not trusting Joe and Cindy when Joe and Cindy say, this is what you need to do.
That's exactly what's happening, because
Yeah.
when, this January, when I heard 18%, I said, you have to explain that to me.
I feel like I was 7.6.
And I wasn't surprised at 18%
So,
at all.
my first inclination was to push back, because I need to balance the budget for the upcoming fiscal year. And I told Joanne, I said, I need to know more about this. And I took the time to learn about it. But a lot of town managers would probably just say, nope, 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 tell them no. And that's because they're trying to balance their budget. So Joanne pays attention, and she gave me a lot of information. And in the end, I said, yes, I support this. And other communities do the same. But that's what's happening.
Joanne's the only one that goes to all of them.
Yeah.
She's, there were 3 people that one of them's Joanne.
So I do have some updated financials. I could just give you a quick synopsis of where we are with things.
Perfect.
I'm gonna go back to buildings and grounds where it's a little.
Yeah, well, without you, I might just do away with that committee.
There is no building and grounds.
Just gonna be great.
So Jill did send out a spreadsheet with 3 different scenarios on it.
Did I get an email?
I think you sent it out to us.
Yeah, I'll just go over it real quick. The first was 60-40, which was discussed at the meeting. If we take 60% out of stabilization, it's $538,000.
Oh, yeah.
We would have to reimburse that about $180,000 a year off the top of
Yeah.
cash. That would mean that the schools would have to come up with $262,000 and the town $96,000 approximately. We also looked at a 50-50. The town would have to come up with $120,000, the schools $328,000. If we did that, we would have to reimburse the stabilization fund approximately $150,000 a year for 3 years. Because the total amount coming out of it would be $449,000.
But which one, what is doable?
Well, I think the 60-40 is certainly doable. 50-50 is gonna hurt, but.
Right, like will it hurt where you bleed, or will it just hurt to make a point, like?
Everybody's gonna
hard
make a
decisions?
Let me finish up here first, and then we can talk about it. Scenario 3 was a 60-40, but this also included taking some money out of OPEB.
So that's totally okay to do, you learned that?
Yes, it's okay, because we would just focus on the benefits for the retirees. Now, if we're gonna take a loan out of our savings accounts, I'm questioning why we would take it out of 2 different accounts and then have to pay it back to 2 different accounts. Let's just take it out of one and pay it back out of one. So,
I think my thought was don't pay OPEB back.
see,
That's where
I
I
think if we do that, then I think the auditors are gonna look at us and say, we're not happy with that.
Yeah, we don't wanna call a bank and have them not return our phone calls.
I would think that, we're only putting a nominal amount in there every year, but it's enough for the auditors to say your number goes up every year. We're happy.
30,000.
So I'm gonna recommend against that. But here's the kicker. We are looking at 2 things right now. The assessors maintain an overlay account that they use for abatements and a lot of the rebates and veterans programs and things that we offer here in town. The overlay account has an excess right now, and we've asked the assessors to return $100,000.
Okay,
They're meeting before the 8th. So
Okay.
we'll know if they want to, all or none, or any portion of that. The second thing we are looking at right now is believe this goes back to insurance, which is crazy, but I pushed back really hard on our property and casualty insurance. We changed carriers this year,
good,
and we shaved about $100,000 off that.
perfect, I love it.
Yeah, so my proposal is to transfer that from property casualty to health. So that also helps knock this down a little bit. So if we were to move 200,000 into health insurance from these other sources and then utilize the 60-40 split, the town cuts would be about 44,000 and the school cuts would be about
And
120,000.
what would be the payback to OPEB, payback to stabilization?
Well, we could talk maybe 2 years instead of 3 or 3
Like
years.
it would be that low that we
Yeah.
could do that, and the first year would be May
Yeah.
of this year, so it would really only be 1 year up. I would be in favor of that,
So
100%.
what was the numbers you gave if they transfer the 200?
We'd be looking at about, well, the exact numbers, the town cuts would be 42,449. The schools would be 116,540. So, none of these scenarios had a payback. Well, scenario one was 180,000. So if we inject 200,000 into this plan, then we could pay it back in 2 years.
And that was great, because then the first year is gonna really be in May of this year with the free cash, and it's really only at once, which helps us with our bond ratings, keeping our stabilization up. I think that's an equitable solution, I don't know, whatever Jeff thinks.
The only good one.
So that's gonna be our proposal on the 8th. We'll have answers on all of that. Brian Cameron is working on his list of cuts based on the worst case scenario. I'm gonna also do the same, and we'll have a more robust conversation about that.
Has he talked about cutting positions?
Not directly. It's more of, trying to look for not filling positions that are known vacancies.
So who's that you're talking about?
School superintendent.
Is there a lot of attrition gonna happen, projected for 26?
I haven't had a direct conversation with him about that. I overheard the conversation at the school committee meeting where he talked about it. So I don't have any details other than he's gonna look at expenses first and then.
Can I just ask my question? How does the recent position 2.5 approval fit into all of this?
Yes. Without that, we would have really been in trouble.
Right.
So the Brock 2.5, we set money aside for expenses, money aside for capital, and money aside for the firefighters, which we haven't started collecting yet, but that'll be collected next year. So it will help us into the FY27 budget, because at least we don't have to try to not only find the health insurance money, but find the money for the firefighter paramedics. So at least we have that behind us, and we just have to work through this. But with that significant savings in property and casualty insurance, that's a big help. So, and we're looking at a few other things. The school department right now is currently talking about closure of Cold Spring School.
So are they? Can I ask a question? I have a sidebar on that. Does everybody at this table, except for maybe, well, no, you were at the meeting, except for maybe you, Rick, remember that when we had the couple last joint meetings, they said that we wanted them to close Cold Spring last year, and they said that they just wanted to close it mindfully at the end of this year, because I'm having school committee members emailing me saying that never took place.
I heard it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna defend that or go against it, but.
But do you remember
At
that conversation?
At Tuesday night's meeting, they looked at all of the schools' operating expenses, enrollments, and they agreed to have a discussion on September 9th to make a final decision on whether or not Cold Spring School would be closed for the September of 2026 school year. So right now, what they are doing is outreach to parents and some internal checks and balances, and then they're gonna have a final decision being made on the 9th.
But everybody, regardless of what the decision is, does everybody, sans Rick, remember that Heidi didn't show up to any meetings, which is fine, really, it was just Ruby and Brian, but that they asserted that they just wanted an extra year, because I'm gonna publicly respond to that email, and I heard it, and I'm not watching the meeting, I'm busy, but I just wanna make sure everybody else heard it too. It was like the last 2 tri-board meetings we had last year,
Honestly, I don't remember what I did yesterday, so there's last night you would ask. I mean, yeah. I know I did attend virtually the school committee meeting, and they did talk about a lot of the challenges they would have moving grades into Javish just because of the traffic and the different things they would probably have to invest in to make Cold Spring happen.
What
So,
about Swift River though? They're talking about moving kindergartners into Swift River.
They want to put sixth grade into Jabesh Brook Middle School, so it'd be sixth, seventh, and eighth. Currently, it's 2 grades. And they are concerned about the traffic flow, but there may be some options.
traffic flow, I mean, you know, all the lunchroom intricacies that they have to work through. So, you know,
I get it's complicated.
yeah, no, I'm just saying, I wouldn't think, I know they mentioned 500,000, but in the back of my mind, I'm thinking some of that's probably gonna have to go back to reinvesting in certain things, which I don't think is a bad idea if they can extend the life of Javish Brook.
So if we can sell Cold Spring, the savings should be about 500,000 to the school, and then the town would be able to market it and sell it and bring in more revenue as well, because it is a nice little piece of property.
It's
And
worth
that
about
money would also
$1.29.
be allocated to the town and schools. So it's actually
Yeah, they
much
can
more
sell
than
it.
500,000.
From a lender standpoint,
Yeah.
yeah, how much do old schools go for?
You don't want to know.
They're a liability.
Well, the thing, and the problem you got here is it's well known that the Belchertown State School has huge environmental problems.
Mhm.
And no one's gonna wanna touch it, cause it's like anything you do, you know, it's like a renovation project. As you continue to scratch it, more crap comes out of it, you know?
We have some things.
If we couldn't, right, if we couldn't touch it though, we could raise it and sell the vacant land.
Yeah, we'll do something.
Like, we could
Yeah.
do something.
Well, I bet you the state would love it for, like assisted living or
Great
for
place
housing.
for assisted living.
I mean, we're getting way ahead of ourselves.
I
Yeah,
know.
Let's get through tonight.
Yeah.
Just keep that in mind. The state, if they invested any money at the beginning to help build that school, they get a portion of it.
That was a CCC project, I think. Yeah,
If it was not any state funding,
I don't know if it was federal or
What
state.
school, what's CCC?
Civilian Construction Corps, it was
For Cold Spring?
it might have been. yeah.
Oh, wow. That was forever ago, though.
really? Yeah, that building's gotta be 50
Or maybe
years old.
WPA.
It's more
WPA
than
is-
that.
Yeah,
I'm 50 years old.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's-
so
That thing was
what's-
old
What's a
when I-
WPA? I forget what that stands for.
So do you remember when Brian Cameron was talking about having to notify the MSBA 6 months in advance
Mhm.
to do it? That's why. I looked up the regulation
Okay.
and they get to make a claim that if the state funded 50% of the building, they,
Get 50% of proceeds.
I don't know if that's what they do, but I mean, they.
Just even the operating cost though, and it's not accessible, it's not an accessible school. It's an old school.
Yeah, it's too bad that, I don't know, how's the grant coming for the roof on Tatchell? Any word on that? Steve?
We won't know on that grant until,
If we could get that roof fixed, that would be a good Band-Aid for the schools, to be honest with you, but.
the building needs a lot of other rehabs.
Oh, it does, but I mean, for a temporary school
Yeah, if we needed it.
yeah.
So it's 7:04. Did I hear somebody say we were adjourned at 7?
Yeah, we are, but you know what, I will make a comment, and that is that, and I don't, it's just a comment, but kids had to go home for COVID, and they all survived. Kids had to flex for various other reasons, and they all survived. So I am not a big fan of insulating children in a bubble and saying you can't set expectations for them to reach. Just in case anyone thought I was, I'm not.
They cut programs that devastate those kids, you know, and they discuss it, so it's.
Right,
It's a
and
story.
instead of cutting programs, let's cut facility costs. I would not wanna see programs cut,
You know,
that's all I have to say.
What they say, if you have a restaurant, don't sell your stove, pay the rent.
Right, sell that extra free wood, it can barely keep anything in. So is there a motion to adjourn to stop me from talking anymore?
Motion.
Second, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. You're out.
Good night, everybody.
You sent that some of the stuff on Friday.